Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's the first week of a new month, and that means it's time to do another of my Inspirational Words projects. For those of you that may not have joined me before, each month I have been making a card to hang in this little frame, which is from IKEA. It was the Tollsby frame, just £1 here in the UK, really sort of cheap and cheerful. I took the acetate out of it and added some book rings. And every month I choose a different word and create a little piece of art based on that word. And I just have it hanging here in my craft room, and I really enjoy looking at it. Basically, it's as if it's a calendar, but without the dates. Each month I change the picture to something new. The word that I've chosen for September is strong. No particular reason, nothing going on in my life that I need extra strength for. Please, if any of you out there are concerned, life is good for me. I'm not facing any major issues. I know some of you may be struggling with an illness or recently had a bereavement, maybe struggling financially or having to change jobs, move house, all of these things that, we can need a little bit of extra strength for. And if that is the case, then I hope that you do find the strength to get through whatever you're getting through, and that life moves on to a happier and more calm stage very soon. I've decided this time to make words the focus of the piece that I'm going to do, and I've chosen a quote, "Be strong and courageous." It's a Bible quote, Joshua 1:9. I myself not a particularly religious person. I just like the quote. If you are religious and that quote has significance to you, then that's good. And if not, if like me, I just think it relates well to life. We have these choices to make and things that we just have to deal with in life, and if we can do that with strength and with courage, I believe that things do turn out better and we get through them much more easily. So I'm going to have lettering as the focus. I'm not one of the fortunate people that is really good at brush lettering. If you are, then please go ahead and do some beautiful brush lettering if you want to do something like that. I struggle. I've not dedicated enough time to practice that and get better at that. But there are ways to have fun with lettering, even if you're not particularly talented in that area. And I'm hoping that we can produce something today that you can say, oh, do you know what? I can do that. I like how you've sort of varied the different styles of writing, and it's easy to follow. So I have my template here. As always, piece of cardstock 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches, 2 holes punched in the top 1/4 of an inch down. This is just smooth white cardstock that I'm using today. I've got a pencil and a rubber and a ruler. I've got a selection of fine liner pens, and I may add some colour, whether I do that with pen or watercolour or pencil, who knows, we'll see. Might add a little bit of stamping. We'll see how much space we've got left when we do the lettering. So to begin with, I'm just going to do some basic sort of measuring with my pencil, with my ruler, just to sketch out where I want my letters, position my letters, so that my letters sort of, the height is correct and things like that. Sounds complicated, isn't complicated at all. But if you've got a guideline there, you can then go in with the pen and don't have to worry about making a mistake. If you go in with the pen and it goes wrong, you can't erase that, but you can erase a pencil. So I like to get it sort of sketched out so I know that where my spacing should be, that my letters are fairly even and sort of don't run off the side of the page or all get all squished up together. So I'm going to begin by just working out where roughly the centre is. I'm ignoring the bit at the top where the holes are. So from the bottom of the hole to the bottom of the card is about 5 inches. So at 2.5 inches, I'm just going to mark in a pencil line, just as a guideline, and I know that that's halfway down. And I want the word strong to be the focus of this, and I'm going to draw this in a banner. So I've decided that the bottom of my banner is going to be on that centre line. And I'm going to give it a bit of curve And I want it to look like it's got a ribbon end on it. So just sketching that in, and the other end. And say we can get rid of all these rough lines afterwards. We can erase them once we've inked over it. Now I want the word strong to be inside that banner. Strong has got 6 letters. So if I mark roughly where the centre is and then divide each section roughly into 3, I'm going to get my letters pretty even in size. And I'm just going to sketch in an outline. Now I'm having the tops of my letters follow the shape of the ribbon, but any upright, any vertical lines, keep those completely straight. You don't want it to look like your letters are all leaning to one side. So that's roughed in there in my banner, that's the focus. So obviously the quote begins with be strong, and I'm going to pop that here. Now you can, if you want to do it freehand, you can do, but again, if you want to just pop in a line that'll just sort of work for the bottom of your letters, and another one that's going to work for the top. And then you can just sort of sketch in where you want these to be. So again, I want courageous to have sort of more significance than the word and, so I'm going to focus on that next. So I'm going to pop in a little line, let me say about half, just over halfway down this bottom section, and that's what my word's going to rest on. I need to leave room for the word and, so I want that to be a similar size to the top there where I've put B, so I'm going to pop a little line in there. And I don't want my word courageous to be all one height. I want to try and make a feature of it. So I've drawn a little line across the top, and I want to curve it slightly so that my letters are bigger at the beginning and the end. So I'm just drawing in a curve like that. And again, courageous, there's 10 letters in this word. I don't want to just start writing and then find that I've run out of room. So I'm going to mark a little line in the center, and I know I need to get 5 letters on either side of that line. Now, you know, if you find it easy, if you want to measure it, you know, whether you and do it that way, you can do. I find I can do it pretty well by eye. Again, you can always sort of move these little pencil marks about until you've got it right. But just dividing until it looks right. So I have room for my 10 letters. And as I say, I want the height of these to vary. So for now, we're not worrying too much about style. We're just sketching them in to see that they fit. So making sure that my letters are resting on this bottom line, but reaching the top line. Just roughing in where they're going to fit. Again, as before, anything that has a vertical line, make sure that that is straight, and then it won't look like your letters are all falling over. So now that we've got that in, we can just pop our word "and" in, and I'm going to be using the same sort of font as I did before. And bear in mind that the D is going to be the full height in the way that the B was there. So, I mean, you might want to pop that one in first. You could always draw another little line in there if you want to, if you find it easier, just so that you know what height your other letters would be. So that is the rough outline of our quote. I am going to just pop at the bottom Joshua 1:9. Just going to do that in a very small letters. So pop in a little line in there. And writing that. Now you can begin to choose what sort of font you might want to use for this, and have a look on Pinterest, look at brush letter fonts, look at calligraphy, look at Bible journaling, lots of ideas out there for different styles of lettering. I'm going to keep the B and the and pretty much as I have done there. The strong, I want this to be blocked in a little bit more, so I'm going to add a thicker line to some parts of this, which will be solid, and again will help add some focus to this particular word. So almost sort of adding a shadow line to it. And the word courageous, I want to do almost in like a bubble lettering. So I could add some colour in the middle. So I'm going to be using this line that I've got, but then thickening it out. But I'm keeping this one fairly curvy in style, whereas the strong is quite squared off. Just add a nice bit of contrast. Again, don't worry if it still looks a little bit sketchy at this point. because you can tidy this up when you come to line it. So that's the basis. This is my starting point, my words. I may add, as I said earlier, a little bit of stamping to the bottom or the top if I feel that it needs it. We'll see what it looks like once we've got this lined out with some pens. Now I'm going to use a Unipen fine line pen. It's a waterproof pen. And for this I'm going to use a 0.2. I do like a 0.1, but it can be very, very fine and quite scratchy. So I'm going to use a 0.2 for some of this, and I'm also going to be using a 0.5 where I want a slightly thicker line. So I'm going to begin by doing this banner, and I'll probably pop it onto fast forward while I'm doing this. So now that I've finished lining that in with my pen, I can rub out the pencil lines. Just give it a moment or two to dry. These pens don't take too long to dry, but the last thing you want to do if the ink's still a bit wet and you go in with the rubber is to smudge it and spoil all your hard work. So now it's time to add a little colour. And for this I'm just going to use these marker pens. These are Lyra aqua brush pens. They're a water-based ink in there. You can blend them with water and create watercolour effects like shown there on the box. But I like the fact that they've got a fairly fine tip and a brush tip. It's a fairly limited range, to be fair, this set of pens, quite sort of primary colours, but perfect for what I want here today. And the fact that my pen that I've used is waterproof means that this is not going to activate that, so I have no worries about the colour running. So I'm just going to use mainly the brush tip, I think. It's a nice, quite a firm tip, but use whatever you've got. I mean, similar things to this would be like Tombow pens or even like Crayola pens, because they are water-based, like a brush marker. But, you could use whatever you've got. You could watercolour. If you're going to use something like a Copic or a Pro marker, just check that your black ink isn't going to be activated by it. I mean, if it is, just take extra care. And I think all I want to do really to finish this off is to provide a contrasting border around the edge. And I'm going to do that using blue. But I just want to mark in a pencil guideline so that I get it nice and even all the way around. So Just going to take my ruler and my pencil, and again we can erase this line once we've finished. And I'm just going to draw my line round all 4 edges, and then just going to colour this in with my pen. I'm just going to pop a scrap of paper underneath so I don't get pen all over my desk. And I'm just going to add a little bit of a doodled border just inside this blue line, just following it round. I've decided I'm not going to stamp any designs anywhere. I haven't really got that much space left, and I don't want to detract from the wording. But I think that will do. So, hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope it's encouraged you maybe to have a go at doing some lettering. That really it's not as complicated as it can seem. And if you're not good with brush lettering, you know, there is other ways of working around getting some interesting designs onto your paper. So I'm going to get this popped into the frame, and then we'll be back with some photographs at the end. But as always, if you enjoyed this, please leave me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out the playlist of all the inspirational words if you haven't seen them all before. But I shall be back again next week with another video. But for now, that's all. Bye.